student, today we are going to study NCERT Class 10 Political Science Chapter 2 Federalism. This is the third segment of this video. In the previous two videos, what you have learned, what is federalism, in which country we used to follow the federalism and which country we used to see the federalism, just like the Canada, the Argentina, the South America, the South Africa, Australia, India, Spain, Belgium. So these are the countries which used to follow the federal government. The federal government, the that kind of a government where we can't find or we can't see the one type of government. They are having the two government or more than the two governments because they are having the different tiers and all the representative they enjoy their own autonomy of the power. So this what the mean by the federalism is. In the federalism, where you can find that the earlier the whosoever the king they used to enjoy the power. So here, like in the federal government, whosoever the elected representative who used to form the government, he has the certain power, certain autonomy who can enjoy his power. So these are the certain things which we can learn from this, that the how the people used to help this particular, you can say, nation, like they have to in a certain boundary. We talk about the India, they have the certain boundaries. They have to act according like the constitution and the citizen rights by which they can make the rules for the people, where which they can do any kind of work like for the nation, for the people, for the individual. In the second segment of the video, we talked about the union list, where it's related with the central government. State list is related to the state government. And if we talk about the concurrence, where both the things come together, union as well as the state. Then you come to know about the later on how we have the map of our India. In 1947, it is in Pakistan, that is the West Pakistan and the East Pakistan, and the state having the different name, the Rajputana, the Maratha, or you can get the Mysore, the provincial state, the central India. So they are having the different names over that. Over the period of time, as the time changes, we have seen the number of changes. Then it took place. The number now we are having the 28 states and 8 union territories. Now you have to keep one more thing in mind, that J and K is not a state. Now it's the union territory, which is by the bifurcation, means by the dividation. Now the JK become a union territory. JK the one part and the Ladakh is the another part. Now they are not having their own constitution. Now they are following our constitution. They are not having their two flags. Now they are having our flag only. So now there we do not have to take the special, you can say, the citizen kind of thing. We can show our own, like you can say whether you have the voter ID or you have the other card. If you want to buy the property over there, you can buy it over there. If you want to do the job, if you want to do the business, you can do it over there. Now there is not any kind of certain boundaries like you can do that or you can't do that. After the appellate, or after the changing the article 370, then this changes is going to happen, like the Kashmir. Okay, so JNK is the now it is not an integral part of the India. It's a union territory. It's earlier or now it always be the part of our India. Now we talk about we talk about the language basis. They put the name of the state, like the most of the people who used to speak that particular language on the particular basis, so they put the name of the state. So it's a kind of a one thing that it used to become the united the India, by which, like if we used to put, I give you the example in the previous segment, that if we used to put the national language as Hindi and we used to put the national religion as the Hindu, so none of the people used to agree with that, and they demanding the separate state or the separate country from, like, apart from the country. Why? Because what they want, that each and every religion should give the respect and the dignity in front of the, you can say, the constitution. So like on the basis of the language, if you put the name of the state, so it is the one of the important aspect of the India, where now we are the united and we used to give the respect. Now come towards the language policy. We used to, in the previous segment, we used to discuss in brief that we are not having any kind of the one national language. We have the official language. Basically, there are the 22 official languages in our India. We used to speak more than, according to like the data which is mentioned by the linguistic people, but they used to consider that we are speaking more than 1600 languages in India, but more than that we are used to speak, because each and every state there are the different kinds of languages in our India. Then on from 1600 they took 22 as the, you can say, the official language in our India. So if you now we're going to further, like before starting this lecture, what points we have to cover today? Mainly there's two topics, that is the language policies, and the second one is the central state relation, and in the brief this one, centralization in the India. So this point we are going to discuss in detail. Now coming the details of the language policy. Hindi was identified as the official language, which I already explained. But Hindi is the mother tongue of only about the 40 percentage of India, only 40 percentage, and the 60 percentage of the Indian is to speak the different languages. Therefore, there are many safeguards to protect our language. Besides Hindi, there are 21 languages recognized as scheduled language by the Constitution. A candidate in an exam is conducted by the central government. Position may opt to take the exam in any of these languages. Yes, what are the examination? I'm talking about the competitive examination. If I give you the example, the UPSC exam, the Union Public Services Commission, where you can become the IAS, IPS, IFS. In that examination, they used to give you the preference in the, if you want to give the test or if you want to give the examination in any of the this 22 languages, you can opt for that. If you want to give in Hindi, you can give. If you want to give in English, you can give. If you want to give in your the any of the state language, we are talking about in the 22 languages. If you want to opt for the Assamese, the Bengali, the Orissa, the Marathi, you can opt any of the languages and you can give the examination. So I give you the examination of the UPSC, whatever the examination which is conducted at the central level, not at the state level. At the central level, you can opt any of the languages from this 22 languages. A candidate in an examination conducted by the central government position may opt to take the exam in any of these languages. State to have their own official language. Yes, they are having their own official language. If we talk about the Maharashtra, so Maharashtra is having the first official language is Marathi. Then second we take the Hindi. Then third one, if you want to take, that is the English. Much of the government work take place in the official language of the concerned state. Yes, most of the state they used to like you can say the most of the work they're doing in the local language only. Unlike the Sri Lanka, the leaders of the country adopted a very cautious attitude spreading the use of Hindi. They're not spreading the use of Hindi. According to the constitution, the use of English for the official purpose was to stop in 1965. Before, like before now, after the 1947 till the 1965, we are using the English language for the official purpose, but it is going to stop in the 1965. However, many non-Hindi speak state demanded the use of English continued. Yes, like if we talk about the South India, because the people do not know how to write and how to speak in Hindi. They know how to write and speak in English. So they demand they don't to stop the English in the official purpose because they don't understand what the Hindi is, how to speak the Hindi, how to write the Hindi. So they demand that please allow the English to be as the official language to work the official work. Whether we talk about the judicial work, whether we talk about the administrative work, whether we talk about the representative and leaders work. However, in the Tamil Nadu, the movement took a violent form. Yes, in the Tamil, it took the violent form because number of the Tamilian people they don't know how to speak in Hindi and how to write in Hindi. So the central government responded to agreeing to continue the use of Hindi along with the English along with the Hindi for the official purpose. Earlier, it was like stopped in the 1965, but after that, whether this reform has started in Tamil Nadu, so the government has started that both the languages, first is Hindi and second one is the English, should be used as the official purpose language because the number of the state in the India where they do not know how to speak Hindi and how to write in Hindi, and they know how to speak in English and how to write in English. So they start demanding that English should be put as the language for the official work. Just I give you the example in the judiciary work, if we talk about the administrative work, so that it can help the people that what kind of particular language they want to know and what kind of work they want to do. So many critics think that the solution favored the English-speaking elite. Promotion of the Hindi continue to be the official policy of the government of the India. Yes, the promotion or you can say the official purpose in the government of India. Promotion does not mean the central government can impose the Hindi on the state. and the people will speak a different language. That doesn't mean okay, any of the government they are imposing, they are forcing to speak you that you can speak in the Hindi and you can work in the Hindi languages. That doesn't mean, but they want to give the you can say a kind of a importance where most of the people used to speak that particular language, that is the Hindi. So Hindi is not the state where the people speak a different languages. The fact which is shown by the Indian political leaders help the country avoid the kind of situation that Sri Lanka find itself in. Because what the Sri Lanka find that most of the people is to speak the Sinhalese language and they don't give the preference to the Tamil or you can say the other languages. But in India, they used to give the preference that the most of the people can understand in the particular languages. Like if the people who do not know the English, at least he can like whatever the language he used to speak. And in the other languages we talk about, they can speak and understand in Hindi. If I talked about me, I used to know like. More than four languages. So I can understand the English, I can understand the Hindi, I can understand the Gujarati, I can understand as well as if we talk about like if we talk about other state languages like the Punjabi. So I can understand. If we talk about other foreign languages, I can understand French as well. But that doesn't mean they're imposing to I have to compulsory speak the Hindi. But they make the particular language as the you can say the official language, the people used to speak the local language, they can understand the other language as well. But if you take the example like from South India, if you go towards the northeastern state, like if you take over the Assam, so that the people know Hindi, they used to know the Assamese, they know the English. Now, if you're going from South India to towards there, so I can communicate with them in English because I don't know the Assamese, I don't know the Hindi. So as a South Indian people, I can go over there and I can speak in English. So we can communicate, we can interact with each other, and we can understand that what kind of particular they want to discuss. If we talk about like from South India, if you want, I want to go to Delhi, like the number of the people used to know Hindi, English, both the languages, but I can communicate with them Hindi as well because somehow I know Hindi. That doesn't mean I know the fully Hindi, but somehow I know the Hindi, and I used to interact with these people in my that language. So the government doesn't want the particular kind of the situation, just like the Sri Lanka, where the most of the people used to speak the Sinhani language, but in our India they used to give the preference to each and every language, whatever the language you to speak, but you give one importance to the particular language where all the people, the most of the people used to understand that particular language. Now come towards the central state relation. Restricting the central state relation is one way in which the federalism has been strengthened in the practice. Like the central state relation is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. How the constitutional arrangement of the sharing power work in the reality depends on the large extent on the how the ruling parties and the leaders. It's what the thing is that they used to share the powers between the central or you can say the union government as the and the state government where for a long time the same party ruled for both at the state center and the most of the state. The most of the like you can say the rule was followed by for a long time the same party ruled both the center as well as the state. This means that the state government did not exercise their rights as a autonomous. This means that the state government did not exercise autonomous means they don't have the autonomy, the power because whatever the work they do, they have the like the autonomy of the power, what they want to do, but all the work what they do in the particular area, they have to report to the central government. As and when the ruling party at the state level was a different parties, the rule at the center tried to undermine the power of the state. In those days, the central government would often misuse the constitution, dismiss the state government that were controlled by the rival parties. This undermined the spirit of the federalism. Earlier, all the scenario which we have talked about, it was the earlier times. Now times is not there because now we are in the federal government where the central government can't interfere in the work of the state government and the state government can't interfere in the work of the central government. But earlier it was there that the central government used to interfere in the work of the state government and they have like a kind of they used to dismiss the you can say in the other words you can say that they misuse the power of the you can say the constitution because they are not following the constitution. What's the thought that we are now the elected representative, we form the government, we can whatever we want to do just like the king. But after the federalism, when we adopted the federalism, now the state government can't intervene in the work of the central government and the central government can't intervene in the work of the state government. So this is the you can say the motto or the spirit of the federalism. All this changed significantly after 19. Think about it, from 1947 till 1990, the most of the central power government or the union government, they used to intervene in the work of the state government, and the state government used to intervene in the work of the central government. But after 1990s, we used to real meaning which we are using or which we are following the federalism after the 1990s. The spirit showed the rise of the regional political parties in many states of the country. Now, number of the parties used to emerge in the state as well as the central level. This was also the beginning of the era of the coalition government. Coalition government that means where the particular government or the particular party don't show the majority in the election, or he doesn't form the government. So the two different parties come in the alliance, or you can say they can, in a simple words, if you want to say it, they used to come together and it used to call it as the coalition government. At the center, since no single party got a clear majority, which I already explained in the Lok Sabha, the major party had to enter into the alliance. The major party, if we talk about in India, that is the BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party, and the Congress, or any other party, which many parties include the several regional parties, to form a government at the central level. This led to a new culture of the power, sharing the respect of the autonomy. Sharing the respect of the autonomy means the state can do their own work, they have their own autonomy, and the central government can do their own work, they have their own autonomy of the state. This stand was supported by the major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss the state government in an arbitrary manner. Now you can see those two cartoons where they show the condition, because when the Atal Bihari Vajpayee became the PM of the India, at that time there was not only the BJP, it was the coalition government, because the BJP and other parties make the alliance, they become the coalition government, then they show the majority at the central level, then they become the you can say that they now they then after that they form the government and they become the PM of this country. So you can see this first, the stage played by the power state. Here it's written the Kerala, the Madras, the Bengal, the Orissa and the Bihar. So you can see if you refer, this is the Indira Gandhi, and these are all the party members at the regional state. If we talk about this is the coalition one, this is the Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and here are the two cartoons showing the relation between the center and the state. Should the state go to the center with a bagging ball? Yes, somehow the people who wants to form the government, they used to go over the big party and bag it that we want to come with you, we will become a alliance, we become a coalition government, and we form the government at the central level. And by this, we can do the number of the works for regulating the rules and regulation in our country. So how can the leaders of the coalition keep their partner, the government? So if we talk about this cartoon, the Atal Bihari Vajpayee as a BJP, then you can see the Samajwadi Party, then you can see the other forms of party, they have the face of the particular leader over there. He used to sit it as a PM, and other parties with the coalition. So this is the form of the coalition government, or you can say the party which used to come together, become the alliance, and after that become the coalition government. Supported by major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss the government in any arbitrary manner. Thus, federal power sharing is more effective today than it was earlier years after the constitution came into the force. Earlier, it was like the power sharing is more effective today. Like nowadays, it's very much effective if we used to share the power. But earlier, it was difficult because we can't share the power. What the people thought that I become the elected representative, so I have all the powers. Whatever the things used to come in my mind, I can do whatever I want to do. But after when we are adopting the federalism, or you can say the federalism or the federal government, by which now they can share the power. All the people come together, they can took the collective decision, and after that they can do the number of the work which is going to help to our country, and by which they can make the number of the plans. Which I told you, we are having the 22 languages. The official language, these are the list. The first, which starts from, like it is in the alphabetical manner. Scheduled language of the India. The first is the Assamese, that is only the 1.26, Bengali 8.03, Bodo 0.12, Dogri 0.25, Gujarati 4.58, Hindi is 43.68. So most of the people used to speak Hindi in the India. Kannada, if we talk about the 3.61, Kashmiri 0.56, Konkani, that is of the language of Goa 0.19, Mithila is of 1.12. Malayalam is the language of Kerala, that is 2.88. Manipuri from the Manipur, that is 0.15. If we talk about the Marathi from the Maharashtra, it is 6.86. Nepali, that doesn't mean the people who, that the Nepal is not a state, it's a country, but the people who used to come from Nepal to the India, so there the number of the people who used to reside in India, they used to speak the Nepali language, that is 0.24. Odia from the Odisha, that is 3.10. Punjabi, that 2.74. Sanskrit, nobody, not only the one village in the country where the people used to speak this Sanskrit, not anywhere. So they say the and that is stands for negligible because they don't know like how many people used to speak the Sanskrit. So they used to put the and. Santhali, that is 0.61, Sindhi 0.23, Tamil 5.70, Telugu 6.70, and Urdu 4.19. So you can see in this 22 languages, the most of the language we used to speak is Hindi, that is 43.63. Now the linguistic diversity in India. How many languages do we have in India? The answer depends on how one counts it. Yes, which I already explained. Like if you recall at the class 6, which is mentioned that you are speaking more than 1600 languages in India, which we have counted, which we have mentioned in a history, you can say the history textbook, where if we are going to count the another new languages used to emerge, then we used to mention it. So I mentioned the word not only the 1600, more than 1600. The list information that we have is to form the census of India. Like the census which we had, the census means to count the population of a country, which was held in 2011. Now it's going to held in 2021, means 2021. So this census record more than 1300 distinct language, which people mention as their mother tongue. This language was grouped together in the sum of the major languages. For example, Bhojpuri, Magdi, Bundelkhandi, Chhattisgarhi, Rajasthani, and many other were the group together under the Hindi. Even after the grouping, the census found that 121 major languages. Of this, 22 languages now including the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution are therefore called scheduled languages. Means this 22 languages you can say as the number of the people is to speak these languages, or you can say the official languages. In terms of language, India is perhaps the most diverse country in the world. That is true. The India is the most diverse country in the world. Look to the enclosed table, make it clear that that no one language is the mother tongue of the majority of our population. Yes, that is true. That if we talk about if we take the example of particular state or the whole country like the India, so we can't say that the number of the people used to speak that particular language, because in each and every state you find the people used to speak the different languages. If we take the example of like take the example of Gujarat, here the people used to speak Gujarati, here the people used to speak the Hindi, here the people used to speak the Rajasthani, here the people used to speak some of the people used to come from the South India used to speak the South Indian language, and some of the people used to speak the English as well. So that we can't say the particular state used to speak the more of the languages, because in the particular state there are a number of the people from the diverse state, or you can say from the diverse religion. They used to live over there, they used to do the work, and they used to speak the different languages. Is the mother tongue of only 44 percentage of Indian. If we add to that all those who knew the Hindi as their second and the third language, so the total number is still less than the 50 percentage in 2011. As for English, only 0.02 percentage Indians recorded as their mother tongue. Only 0.02 percentage the recorder as their mother tongue. Another 11 percentage knew it's the second or the third language. Like someone prefer the second or third language as their Hindi, and the most only 0.02 percentage of people used to say that they're having the mother tongue as the English, and then 11 percentage of the people used to say that second or the third language is their English. Read this carefully, but you need to memorize just to the following. So this you have to keep this in mind, the 22 official languages. Now we come towards this. This was the by the historians. This was in the newspaper article, the Times of India, the first November it was published, and they have the different ideas of the different personalities, which we are going to discuss now. Read the following expert from an article by the noted historian Ramchandra Guha. They appeared in the Times of India on April 20, sorry, not April, November 1, 2006. So the report of the State Recognition Commission, that is SRC, was implemented exactly 50 years ago on November 1, 1956. This is in its own time. has also transformed the political institution life of the nation. Gandhi and the other leaders promised their followers that when the freedom came, the new nation would be based on the new set of provisions. This based on the principle of language. However, the India was finally freed in 1947. It was divided. Like what the Gandhiji and the other political leaders who have promised, when we become free India, then we can give the provisions according to the languages what the people used to speak. So we fulfill all the promises, but on the verge of partition of the country. Like one is become the India and another is become the Pakistan. Partition was the consequence of the predominant attachment to the one faith. How many partition would have other predominant loyalty language leaders? So then thinking of Nehru, Patel, and Rajaji. Like if on the language basis, if we used to partition this country, तो how many country used to become? अगर मान लो अगर नेहरू जी और ये सरदार भाई वल्लभ पटेल राजा जी नहीं होते, अगर हम लोग लैंग्वेजेस अगर एक ही लैंग्वेज को प्रेफरेंस देते तो हमारे पर्टिकुलर देश में से कितने सारे देश बन जाते. It's better कि we used to give the utmost importance to the each and every religion and each and every language. The people who used to speak, that's why we become united till today. If we used to give the preference to the one language, so we are not going to unite it in the past as well as in the future and as well as in the present. Far from the understanding Indian unity, linguistic state have strengthened it. Yes, which we already said that strengthened it. It used to give the power. It used to give the unity. That it has proved to be perfectly consistent. That the to be Kannadai and the Indian Bengali, Indian and the Tamil and Indian, Gujarati and Indian. To be sure, the state based on the language sometimes quarrel with one another. Sometimes they used to quarrel with another on the basis of to give the importance to the language, but it doesn't mean they want their own separate state. While these disputes are not pretty, they could be in the fact they have been far worse. If you used to give the preference to the one language, so if they use this language, people used to conflict with each other, then the situation become worse. But we used to give the respect, or we used to give the dignity to each and every language, or you can say the linguistic. So people have that thing that we are the unity. We used to give the respect. We used to give the freedom that whatever the language we want to speak, whatever the religions we want to practice, and whatever the ideas we have to share with the people, we can do that. It is the formation of the linguistic state has allowed the India to escape what might have been worse. Fact still, if the sentiments of the native speak Telugu and the Marathi, etc., has been discarded, what we might have heard one language, 14 or 15 nation. Think about it, which I explain you in all the segment, whether in the first segment, second segment, third segment. If we used to give the preference to the one language from the particular nation, if we talk about the India, how many nation used to become? The Gujarat become the separate nation, the Karnataka become the separate nation, Tamil Nadu become the separate nation. If we talk about the Maharashtra, it used to become the separate nation because we used to give the preference, used to give the respect, we used to give the dignity, and we used to give the you can say the equality to all the people, each and every individual on the basis of the language, linguistic, or on the basis of the language. That's why we are united in the past, in the present, until the future for the long period of time till the which we use the word the sun and the moon till that when this when like whenever there is till the sun, till the moon, our earth, our India is going to be united. It's not going to apart from each other. So these are the thinking of the historian Mr. Ramchandra Guha. So he said that if you think about it, if we used to give the preference to one language, how many partition of this state? Now the decentralization in India. Here in this segment we will discuss in brief. In the next lecture we will discuss in detail that we noted about the federal government have the two or more types of the government. Yes, we have discussed that in the federal type of government there are two or more than two type of government. If we talk about the India, the first we talk about the first type, that is this union government, the second type, that is the state government, and the third type, that is the local government. So when we talk about the decentralization, decentralization means like the particular powers they have given, they can decentralize, means whatever the work they do, they have to report to the central government. By the central government, they used to help the whatever the things they want. If we talk about the recent times, that the cyclone, the Amphan cyclone used to came, how it used to deteriorate the West Bengal. So the chief minister of West Bengal, that is Mamata Banerjee, who used to call the PM to the Narendra Modi that please you used to come to our state and see what the condition is, and after that you can pass the budget to us like what the situation is. So the PM from the Delhi, he used to came towards the West Bengal. He see the situation from the plane, that what are the deteriorate condition of the West Bengal. So he passed the 1,000 crore rupees for the state, that is the West Bengal, because the condition of the particular state is deteriorating completely. This is the one kind of the example of the decentralization. If the state used to ask the help from the central government, after the whosoever the leader is over there, he has to see the situation, and according to that, like what kind of budget he or she has to pass, they can pass it. So this is the all this point which we have covered in this segment. And in the next segment, we are going to discuss about this in the detail. I hope you like this video. Thank you.